Yeah, I've got some margin. Okay, 5 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. I'm expected to watch two people just sitting there? Great video. Meditation sure is an action packed excitement, that's for sure. And that's exactly the point. I consider meditation perhaps the most important healthy habit we can do every day to become the very best versions of ourselves. But what is it exactly? What are the benefits? And what's the practice really like? That's what this video is all about. So here I am with my friend Christoph. Like me, he meditates every day, and you'll learn about his practice soon. But my practice? Well, you're looking at it. Every morning, I set a timer for somewhere between 11 and 20 minutes and sit. As I travel from country to country, I carry around a sturdy meditation cushion, known in the Zen practice as a zafu. It perches my hips slightly higher than my knees and feet, making it easier for the blood to flow so I don't get that tingling sensation that happens sometimes when you sit too long in one position. Ugh! Isn't it so awful when your foot falls asleep? But it always wakes up. I've never heard of someone whose blood supply to a limb during meditation was so extremely cut off that they had to cut the foot off or something. Have you? It's like we're making up this crazy story in our heads to stop ourselves from just sitting there. That's not the only story we make up in our heads. Michael Singer, a spiritual teacher who wrote Untethered Soul, called these stories the 10 greatest hits. These play in heavy rotation inside our minds. Mine include the classic songs of, "Oh, I have so much to do, better start planning," and "I can't believe they did me wrong." Other tunes that float in my mind are "My body's not perfect." What did they mean by that? And "Why didn't I put on a sweater?" So that's what's known as the monkey mind, when the mind jumps here and there. It's happening all the time, and it's the main reason I hear from clients as to why they just can't meditate. But look at us. We're just sitting there, really. Everyone can just sit there. Maybe your body doesn't sit in this cross legged position easily, and that's okay. You can meditate when sitting in a chair with both feet on the ground. You can meditate in a wheelchair. Some people try to meditate lying down, but that's not recommended. You'll encounter what's known as a close enemy to meditation: sleep. There are different kinds of meditation, of course. Some people meditate with their eyes open. Christoph actually has his eyes open and looking down. Sometimes people will look at one object like a candle flame. But however you focus your eyes, you're not really looking at whatever is on the outside. Meditation is an inside practice. And that's what makes it such a healthy habit. It takes practice. And most people don't integrate it into their lives. A Pew Research study found that 57% of adults seldom, if ever, meditate. Some reported once a month, but that's not much of a habit. Nearly every single successful individual meditates. A quick Google search shows everyone from Jerry Seinfeld to Oprah to Tim Ferriss to Martin Scorsese to Jim Carrey to Howard Stern to Paul McCartney. The list goes on. I also noticed the benefits. For me, meditation offers a sense of relaxation and an opportunity to understand myself and my thought patterns. I have improved my focus and productivity, emotional awareness, and cultivated a deep sense of gratitude. I've been meditating almost every day for the last 13 years or so, ever since I considered becoming a yoga teacher. I've completed a Vipassana course, which is a 10-day silent meditation retreat. I've studied Zen meditation practices, and I've enjoyed metta meditation workshops. I've read plenty of books on meditation from spiritual teachers like Thich Nhat Hanh and Ram Dass. But mostly, like you've been watching, I just sit. And I didn't even hear Christoph's chime ring.
It was getting loud, but it was fine.
So, Christoph, tell me about your meditating experience. When did you first start meditating? And what was it like?
It began as a homework and something really, really boring that I was told could be good and that I hated doing. And that was the case for a long time. So some grit was involved in continuing the practice. Then at one point came a meeting with psychedelics. It was ayahuasca, which gave me a taste of, I would say, what is ultimately possible to taste, or what the whole landscape can look like. And that gave a lot of fresh energy to the whole endeavor and new enthusiasm.
Interesting. I'm glad you're bringing up this concept of grit, because that I hear a lot from people who don't have a meditation practice, is they just say, I can't. I mean, how did you move through that from can't to can?
There's been a lot of admiration for some people who regularly are meditators. So if we judge a tree by the fruits, there was in me a recognition that this practice does bear fruits. And if I have in my mind an ideal version of the future Christoph, that's what I would like him to be like. And this is the method to practice.
What examples of these fruits do you recognize in consistent meditators?
There is, I think Krishnamurti said, one of my secrets, or my main secret, is I don't really care what happens. So there is a sort of equanimity that you can read on the face, meaning I'm fine with life. And this for me seems to be a secret that I want to taste.
Not easy.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, what is your practice? What's your current meditation practice look like?
During meditation, I'm very much a monkey, meaning my practice is not very deep yet. And when it comes to picking meditations, I'm very much a butterfly, meaning I'm still going right and left and up and down and joining all sorts of groups and listening to all sorts of teachers. So I'm very much a butterfly. I have a very horizontal search so far. I do have a favorite teacher, and if I was to go vertical with one, I know who it would be, but I haven't really yet gone vertical.
Who's your favorite teacher?
It's Adyashanti. Do you know him?
I don't.
Oh. Different teachers for different people. I find him, he's an American, I find him extremely clear, extremely open-minded. And I see how some teachers like Thich Nhat Hanh really reach some people with a message based on kindness and admiration for nature and look at the beautiful flower. But for me, it's a bit too gentle. Adyashanti is more harsh and cutting through, and that works for me.
I've heard of these meditation teachers with a rod. Is this the type of teacher?
With the
Like, yeah, like if you're
Kyosaku.
right.
I wouldn't say that Adyashanti is teaching with a Kyosaku, but he's very sharp, very incisive, let's say. Yeah.
And how long have you been interested in meditation? What's the timeline?
I would say now it's been 15 years.
So about the same time for me, and it's really like we've just begun, which I think is part of the point, right? This idea of the beginner's mind.
On the road between starting meditation and getting somewhere, I think I'm 1% of 1% on this road. And and this doesn't come from the requirement of Buddhism to be humble. It's a real
It's just a fact.
analysis of where I am. Yes. On a typical day, my meditation is less than 10 minutes. These days, I'm with Sam Harris on Waking Up, and it's 10 minutes. So guided. It can speak to people who have who access meditation through understanding. They want to understand.
So that sounds like the opposite of the Zazen practice, where you have the Zen koans, which is like the opposite of understanding. I feel like the point is to be like, right? And you have, if you're sort of in this space of being okay with not understanding.
Yes.
There's some freedom in this I like.
Yes.
Although I'm an intellectual as well, I'm not gonna.
Yes. So for me, the same can apply to people like Thich Nhat Hanh, who focus on simplicity, and Zen, which both of them seem to want to keep something secret. Thich Nhat Hanh probably has access to a lot of mysteries, but he doesn't talk about them. And Zen people only talk about the posture, never about the mystery. So something seems to be hidden, and I enjoy teachers who just ram into everything, and everything is open and on the table. So my mind is a monkey, meaning it's a piece of gum that's going to stick to everything it can stick to. And meditation is like unsticking it when I notice it's been sticking to something. It can stick to a thought, it can stick to, if my eyes are open, it can stick to something I see, it can stick to an emotion, it can stick to a pain in the body. So I unstick. This is meditation. Having only walked 1% of the way of what is possible, my mystical experiences are very limited. But once, after 10 days of Vipassana meditation, which can be intense, I experienced 2 seconds of very, very inexplicable deep peace. And that was very much worth the 10 days of mostly suffering.
What I think is interesting as I continue to meditate is how I don't need so much drama to enjoy myself, to be content. That's taken a lot of time to realize that I just don't need to have the these stories of like, I can't believe he said this, and oh no, does she like me, or right, or I feel so the injustice of it all, and or whatever. These are sticking points, I would say. I like the way that you said that.
Sometimes I might have an approach that's a little bit cognitive, which is in my inner dialogue, I will refer to myself as Christoph instead of I. And I find that if I summarize what's been happening, saying Christoph got angry instead of, well, I feel na, it does put some distance, and I can observe the Christoph form in its anger, but from a distance. Yeah.
Great point. It's really what we're doing. I feel like that is actually what the meditation practice is stilling yourself, getting calm enough and still enough, and forcing yourself to look at yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And when you stop moving and doing, and you're just being, then you have nothing else to distract you from how things are.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of then understanding how things are,
mm-hmm.
and just, I guess, accepting how things are.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And there are many entry points to meditation. I have a feeling that meditation can be for absolutely everybody, but not the same type of meditation, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you have so many different teachers, so many types of meditation.
Yeah, great point. It can be how you want it to be.
Yes, it adapts easily, yes. Mm-hmm. Some people are more cognitive, others are more based on the sensations. I sometimes watch YouTube videos of teachers who don't reach me at all, but will reach someone else. It's interesting. There is something for everybody.
And so the trick then is knowing when you're running away from the thing you don't like, right? Like if you say, well, that's definitely not for me, right? If you're really quite cut and dry about it,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It might be a little ego trick that's playing where that's really the thing that you need.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It could be. But how would I identify something that is actually really not for me? Would the signal feel the same as my ego refusing something that is for me?
It's tough to know yourself so well that you know what's right and what's wrong for you.
Yes.
I feel like the only way to do that is to sit and spend time with yourself.
Mm-hmm. And some meditation teachers, I don't have a name coming to mind, but some teachers do not advocate sitting. It's always in real life, or it's other ways of meditation. Do you know any such teacher?
Walking meditation is a practice that I know of. But in general, I'm of the opinion when people say, well, meditation isn't my meditation. My meditation is, and then fill in the blank with something that's not meditation, right? Mm-hmm. They'll say cooking, mm-hmm. or, washing the dishes is my meditation. Knitting is my meditation. Yoga is my meditation, right? When people say this to me, I kind of laugh a little bit because that's actually not meditation. Like that's mm-hmm. a great mm-hmm. calming practice that probably feels really good to the parasympathetic nervous system as you mm-hmm. can breathe and relax. And it's good to have these habits that relax you, but it's actually not meditation because it doesn't involve that grit that you talked about, where you have to just sit there, and sometimes you don't like to see what your mind is sticking, like where your mind is sticking isn't always a very nice thing. Sometimes it's a really painful thing. And it's very hard to unstick. And when you're distracting yourself with living your life, you're not really doing that work on yourself. Now it can help, and I think that it's sort of got the cart before the horse with that concept, that you have to do this. You really need to sit with yourself and not distract yourself in order to handle the stuff like doing the dishes and knitting in a way that doesn't still make you go crazy.
Right. Someone who would say, okay, my meditation is walking meditation. I'm not distracted. I'm walking very slowly back and forth. And I'm watching my mind when I do that. Could that be meditation for you?
Yes, and there's a difference between walking meditation and taking a walk, right? I think that's what I mean, because some people say that. Walking is my meditation. Jogging is my meditation. Going to the gym and exercising, that's my meditation. I hear this all the time.
Yes.
And there's a difference between taking a walk, because you get distracted. You're listening to a podcast. It's enjoyable. I take walks all the time. But it's not a walking meditation where you're really aware of each footstep on the earth, and you're only really breathing and focusing on your foot, connecting with the ground. This is a very different experience than, trying to get your 10,000 steps in.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it's more, I like it. It's better to have nice, relaxing hobbies. Right? This is part of it. I really appreciate you talking about the grit, because that's no lie. It's not always fun to sit, and especially when you have things to do. This is one of my common things, is let me make a game plan for myself. And then I have to realize that I'm just planning. Like, I'm not actually meditating. I've stopped meditating, and now I'm on to the planning of my day. I'm making my to-do list. Making a to-do list that's different.
So maybe we've come to describing, on one side, people who go to the gym, the state of flow, getting lost in the gym. I forgot that I exist. I'm just exercising. And on the other end, meditation, which is not being lost in something, but knowing what you're doing as you're doing it, right? If I'm getting lost in the gym, I'm not really aware anymore of the movement. I'm lost in the movement. But if I'm doing my walking meditation, I'm super aware of my movement. Would you agree that these are different things?
Perfectly described, because that's exactly right. Meditation, you're not lost in anything. Like, I won't lie, there's part of my practice where my mind can get lost, right? And that's the monkey mind, right? Where it's like off, like swinging through the trees. That's the saying. But the practice is bringing it back to the present moment and the breath, and that's it.
Okay, we can talk about the healthy habit of meditation until we get enlightened, but I want to add in a plug for Christoph's really graceful, non-digital habit tracking calendars to keep your meditation practice going. I think they make lovely gifts too, and you can find a link in the description. I'll also link in some resources from some of the teachers we've mentioned to invigorate your meditation practice and turn it into a daily healthy habit. Happy sitting!